Amila. I cannot wait to be rid of him. What is it I need to prepare? I will do no such thing, and will feel no regrets in avenging Amila's constant dishonors. I have given him every chance, every credit. I have begged him to turn himself around. But instead, it has been endless years of dishonor and pain. Damn him. I should have known years ago that this would be the only way things would end. Not at all. I have served my time in the military. Amila's condition made him unfit for service. He may put up a good fight, but I will surely be the victor. Do you think I wanted this to happen? I tried to stop this downward spiral countless times. It was like saving someone from drowning, only for them to leap back into the ocean. Amila refuses to be helped, and he is determined to take me and the family name down with him. No, you are not my second. I do not see how this is pertinent to your duties. Understandable. If it is a help to you, then ask what you must. I do not hate him. I do not love him either. And I can no longer tolerate him. I am sure Amila will spin a tale about his hard life. But the truth is that he has always been a miscreant and a troublemaker. But when Father moved to strike him, who dove in front of the blows? When Mother would not feed him, who sacrificed their food? It was me. It was always me. How does he repay me? He steals my valuables, slanders my name, and brings dishonor on the family. Any affection I had for my brother is long dead. The Koza ruined him. Once he began living at the bottom of a bottle, everything changed. I am just exhausted by him. It is exhausting to constantly be blamed by him for all of his problems, while always being expected to forgive and help him when he demands. An alcohol made from goat milk. Amila is absolutely dependent on it, and his wife was too. The damn stuff rots your brain, I swear. He has always been a troublemaker, but once the Koza took over, he went from bad to worse. Now he is just an addict and a thief. I will be putting him out of his misery. We were never the closest of brothers, as our personalities are just so different. But we were close enough. He was a free spirit, which irked my parents. Honestly, I respected him a lot. He was unbreakable, even though the world was not always kind to him. He was funny, kind, and he always was trying to cheer me up, even if I had nothing to be sad about. The Amila you know now is not my brother. My brother may as well have died years ago. The Amila walking around today is nothing like what he used to be. I have done everything, and he has left me with nothing. He comes begging for money, so I gave it to him. Then he comes begging for my items to pawn, so I sacrifice them. And then he comes screaming to me that I hate him, that I have done nothing to help him. All of this for a decade now. I would lay by his side every night praying that he would not choke on his own vomit. But in the mornings when I would throw away his bottles of koza, he would fight me like a monster. I used to take such pride in giving to the community, and in using my privileged position to help the less fortunate in the city. But I can no longer do that, as Amila has taken nearly every cent from me. I have sacrificed my entire purpose for living in the hopes that Amila would get better. And he never does. No, Great Serpent, no. I will take no pleasure in his death. However, I may admittedly feel relief. I will mourn the loss of my brother. The brother he used to be, at least. And I will pray that his restless soul finds comfort with the Great Serpent. There is nothing that could lead me to calling it off. An apology from Amila is worthless. He always falls right back into his old ways. There is no apology grand enough to make up for nearly trading your late mother's remains to fund an addiction. That is inconceivable. It would be, if Amila weren't a habitual liar, deceiver, and cheater. As I said before, an apology from him is less than worthless. He has apologized countless times for a decade, only to continue stabbing me in the back. If that is all, you may take your leave.
Ah, look who it is. I will not waste your time. I already know what you have come to ask. You wish to inquire if there is any possibility of me apologizing to my brother. The answer is no. The duel shall go forward as planned. Why are you so sure that I will die? I have been in plenty of scraps on the streets, and I am not some sheltered pushover like my brother. You cannot just turn your back on family like Borhall has done to me. And now he wants to kill me. If he wins, I hope the guilt of what he has done will rot him from the inside out. And if I win, it is justice. He is trying to kill me. Why should I be the one to apologize? Borhall likes to paint me as a ne'er-do-well. But what type of psychopath wants to kill their own brother? It is not fair. He should be the one begging for my forgiveness. Fine. But do try to be brief. I would prefer to be alone so that I may enjoy what could very well be my final moments alive. Terrified. Yes. Do I have something to apologize for? I do not know. Perhaps him challenging me to a duel has something to do with it. Correct. You are my second, not my acquaintance. I do not wish to speak of these things with you. You do not mince words, do you? I can respect that. But it also makes me want to beat your head in. Go on, ask your questions again. I had a wife once. I'm not going to flatter myself and pretend that I was a good husband, but I loved her. And she loved me. Appreciated me. Faults and all. I never felt like I had to prove anything to her. When I say to you that she was my world, my everything, I am serious. She was perfect. And somehow, she loved something like me. It was like living in a dream every day. Nearly a decade ago, she and I shared a perfect night. In what I had believed would be a lifetime of perfect nights. But when I kissed her cheek in the morning, my lips froze. She was cold. Stone cold. After my beloved's death, I made one bad decision after another. To Borhal's credit, he was almost always there for me. He even paid for the funeral expenses. But he could not stop me from taking to the bottle, no matter how hard he tried. Eventually, he gave up on me. My own brother. His love and understanding has been replaced with scolding. I am truly alone. If it were Borhal in my stead, I would forgive him, like a brother is supposed to do. Family is family. We are supposed to be there for each other, no matter what. I would never have deigned to challenge him to a duel. He cares more about respect, the family name, honor, everything, except for me. Thank you. But no amount of condolences will bring her back. Because I am furious! My own brother, I cannot make sense of it. Who would challenge their own flesh and blood to a duel? Damn him! Damn him for putting me in this position! Damn him because I know even if I were to apologize, ending this duel before it starts, I will always see someone who would rather me dead when I look at his face! As in, am I physically capable? Perhaps, if the Great Serpent wills it. Am I mentally capable? I believe so. I have never felt this fury within me before. Look at me. Really look at me. Do I appear to be someone that has much to live for? If I die, I die. Nothing to be scared of. Except giving Borhal the satisfaction of taking my life. I suppose the thought has crossed my mind. Maybe it would be better to be dead. I could be with my wife. Well, if the Great Serpent would let me be with her, we're never the most devout in Dasra. I am not sure that I want to die, but there really is not much to live for, is there? But I am not just going to let Borhal end me. I cannot give him that satisfaction. Yes, I have. I am ready to fight and to die, if that is what the Great Serpent wills. Perhaps Borhal was depending on me being a coward. Perhaps he did not truly believe this duel would go on. Unfortunately for him, I am no coward.
How did you fare? While disappointing, I am not surprised. Those brothers are stubborn as groats. But you may still have a chance to halt any bloodshed. Listen to me very carefully. Your final duty as a second is to prepare the ceremonial drinks that the duelists will imbibe prior to the duel. As you are preparing the drinks, you will treat each cup with this tranquilizer. Borhal and Emila will be too weak to fight after drinking this. This duel is idiotic, we both know it. It is a needless loss of life during a crisis where there is already so much death. And the victor will rue his actions for the remainder of his life. You have one final chance to stop this.
Are you sure this is the only way? Seems risky.
The duel is fast approaching and you've witnessed the brothers' stubbornness. Their minds are made up and they are ready to die. Theoretically, this should be safe. Very good. Report to me when you are finished. May the Great Serpent aid us. Is everything ready?
I am sure. If everything is ready, then it is time to move forward. The time has come. Amila, are you sufficiently prepared?
I am ready.
It is time. Nothing we can do now but observe and hope for the best.
To your health, brother.
And may the Great Serpent have mercy on your soul, Amila. What is this? What have you done to me, Amila?
I am affected as well, dear brother. I did not do this. I can hardly see you in front of me.
What the hell is this? What did you do? What is this? Sabotage!
This duel was an asinine idea, Borhal. We put a stop to it. There is no use for needless bloodshed at times like these. We must come together, not kill one another.
You traitoress. You betray me. And then you lecture me.
Oh, enough of your grousing, Borhal. Your precious duel can wait. Or are you truly so determined to kill me?
Enough of your taunting. This is not over.
I am counting on that.
Remove yourselves. We must rest. But know that you have only delayed the inevitable.
Thank the Great Serpent. You did it. The tranquilizer worked and you saved them both. Thank you for trusting me. What? From the tranquilizer? They will sleep a few days and be fine. I expect. They may suffer a bit, but it is a far better alternative to being stabbed to death. Nonsense. You've made the right choice. Their egos are bruised, but deep down they are both relieved. Come what may, we have narrowly avoided a bloodbath today. If they are stupid enough to try again, we will find another way to stop it. But I doubt that day will come. I have faith that the Great Serpent will open their hearts to each other. He will show them that the pain from the tranquilizer would be dwarfed by humiliation and guilt, had the duel ended in bloodshed. Me too. I want to thank you. You trusted me, and because of you, the brothers, my friends, are both alive. They are imbeciles, but better people than they seem. I am grateful for you. Please take this. It is admittedly not much compared to what you would have received if one of them had perished, but can you truly put a price on a human life? You are free to go. May the Great Serpent be with you. Always.
Well, look who it is. You have made quite a stir, and given the state of things, that is a singular accomplishment. To what do I owe the honor, Vindicator? At the moment, obviously a great deal of nothing. Have the High Council to thank for that. Politics and expedience rarely pair well. Well, well. Progress, at last. Then your arrival is even more momentous than I'd believed. I will spare you much of the technical detail, as I confess that pieces of it I barely understand myself. One cannot help but notice the energy field around the Scaled Citadel. Until we can get through it, we cannot shut down the experiment inside, and it has proved quite impossible to get through. We had the beginnings of a plan to build a makeshift contraption to redirect grav drive energy to see if we could penetrate the barrier, but the project came to a halt. Politics got in the way. Every one of the houses needs to contribute, and everyone realized they could potentially use it for leverage. What should have been a cooperative effort turned contentious. Easy decisions became negotiations. And so, construction never began. We have sat here, staring at this disaster as supplies pile up for well over a week now. Serpent help us, it is infuriating. The Council just so happens to represent the 3 houses under Varun's banner, who are also entrusted with various aspects of running, well, everything. Each of those houses needs to contribute something to the project, so the Council is the final stopgap. Were the Speaker here, he could bypass all of it with a wave of his hand, but, well, you have already seen the state he's in. Indeed. All must serve. I believe I've done enough complaining for now. Time to get to work. If you're here, the Council has likely sent word to the houses that it's time to stop the infighting. I doubt it will be enough. I need to oversee construction here, make sure things are built to specifications. If you could follow up with the houses, that may speed up the process. The first convert in generations. The only one to have heard from the Speaker since the disaster. Oh, I think they will listen. House Fetal owes us access codes for the city power grid. It's the only way to guarantee enough power to activate the device. House Kadik was supposed to provide a young scientist named Sahima to help me. She had at least some experience with the original Citadel experiment. No idea why they refused to send her. And Hasmek, the new elder of House Dulkef, he has been distant, guarded. He claims to have vital information about an important component of the experiment, but has withheld it until now. Help me get what we need, and we will see what we can do for the Speaker, and for House Varun. And I may have something that can help you in whatever trials the Serpent puts before you as we navigate this. We have been nearly overwhelmed with all that has happened over the last few weeks, but I have still spent some time doing my own research when I can. These phantoms, the vortex. Fascinating subject, really. If only there were some less disastrous way we could have discovered all this. Yes, exactly. I am glad I am not the only one who can see that. Does nothing to make the loss any easier, but still. We have encountered several interesting phenomena. First, while the phantoms shift to a fully human form when killed, they often retain small shards that appear to be an almost crystallized version of vortex energy. Second, we have learned that killing the phantoms sometimes causes an even greater disturbance. Horrors, as they have been colloquially termed, can appear from somewhere. We are unsure of their origin, but it is not within our universe. These horrors and their spawn are infested with cysts, a seemingly organic manifestation of vortex energy. We have managed to collect enough to run experiments and have devised a method of combining them into an explosive mixture with varying properties. While they have no use in the development of the morning device, if you find yourself out in the field, I believe they could have more practical applications. Well then, allow me to provide you with a few starting samples. The process is simple enough that any industrial workstation should suffice, if you have the materials. And, depending on how you combine said materials, you may find the results to be somewhat variable. I hope you can use that to your advantage. Not enough to have prevented it from happening. If I had any idea it was going to turn out like this, It had been Inasco's primary goal for some time. A way to recreate Jinan Varun's encounter with the Great Serpent. Everything we knew about grav drive technology, every scientific advancement we'd made in the last 100 years was poured into it. Towards the end, I was just so exhausted. I asked for a brief time off. Had I not, I would be trapped in there with the rest of the science team. Of course not. I left the project weeks before the disaster, and at that point, we were nowhere near ready. Some breakthroughs were made shortly thereafter, and they ran the experiment. And here we are. Just look around. I'm sure you have at least some idea of how much we have physically lost. A huge portion of the city is just gone. And those left behind are struggling. Supplies are limited. There is so much work to be done, and we are all just so tired. I hope that eventually we can return things to the way they were, but we must be realistic. That will take time, and I suspect a great deal of it. Yes, depending on how much trouble you're getting into. We have been nearly overwhelmed with all that has happened over the last few weeks, but I have still spent some time doing my own research when I can. These phantoms, the vortex. Fascinating subject, really. If only there were some less disastrous way we could have discovered all this. Yes, exactly. I am glad I am not the only one who can see that. Does nothing to make the loss any easier, but still. We have encountered several interesting phenomena. First, while the phantoms shift to a fully human form when killed, they often retain small shards that appear to be an almost crystallized version of vortex energy. Second, we have learned that killing the phantoms sometimes causes an even greater disturbance. Horrors, as they have been colloquially termed, can appear from somewhere. We are unsure of their origin, but it is not within our universe. These horrors and their spawn are infested with cysts, a seemingly organic manifestation of vortex energy. We have managed to collect enough to run experiments and have devised a method of combining them into an explosive mixture with varying properties. While they have no use in the development of the morning device, if you find yourself out in the field, I believe they could have more practical applications.
I was hoping you would eventually stumble into my shop. Welcome. Well, yes. I realize others might treat people such as yourself with skepticism and distrust, but my opinions differ. You've clearly been chosen by the Great Serpent, sent here to help us in our time of need. In my mind, to treat you with anything but respect would be ignorant. That's an understatement. It's rare that an off-worlder finds their way to Dazra. But not just any off-worlder. One that's able to speak with Inasco Varun himself, which in the eyes of the citizens of Dazra moves you up from the suspiciously curious category to the dangerously unique one. Which reminds me, here I am prattling on about you when I haven't even introduced myself. I'm Nalada Brady. Forgive me for not starting our conversation that way. I've been a bit distracted of late. My brother Qasim has been missing for days. I'm beginning to worry that something terrible has happened to him. Well, yes, but the incident that claimed most of Dazra was several weeks ago. Qasim and I were fortunate that our shop wasn't destroyed like so many others around us. Yes, thank you. But my problems need not burden you. If you want to take a look at what my shop has to offer, well, you let me know. Really? You'd do that for me? Oh, you truly are a gift from the Great Serpent. I knew he hadn't forsaken us. Isn't it obvious? I believe the Great Serpent has specific designs for all of us. You consider yourself to be nothing more than flesh and blood, but you have a purpose. And purpose is greater than the sum of all our parts. Oh yes, of course. The last time I heard from Qasim, he was headed out to the Deep Gorge refinery to assess if it could be reopened. He never came back that evening. I've been worried sick. You know, now that you mention it, someone in the city said that they felt tremors near that area. Just please be careful. That old refinery has been abandoned for years, and there's no telling what might be choosing to call the facility its home. Now, is there anything you might need for your journey? Do you mean to ask if it's a sore subject to bring up since he's missing? Not at all. Qasim and I have been close ever since we were young. Our father and mother taught us everything we needed to know about running this shop so that one day we could take over. When they passed, Qasim and I ran the business for a few years together, but I could see his heart was elsewhere. I gave him my blessing, and he attended an engineering academy. In a few more years, he graduated and made quite a name for himself. When the government reached out to everyone for help after the incident, I wasn't the least bit surprised he was the first to volunteer. I can only pray that his eagerness hasn't gotten him into deep trouble. The cataclysm that claimed most of Dazra has severely impaired our ability to survive on Varun Kai. Qasim is simply trying to use his engineering background to help everywhere that he can. In this case, he's trying to assess if the refinery can be reopened. He strongly believes that the loss of the city's infrastructure means we need to rely on everything we can in order to get back on our feet. My mother taught me to try and provide a smiling, friendly face for my customers, but it's been incredibly difficult. I managed to muddle through when the incident struck the city, but this situation with Qasim has made things difficult. It's an old mineral processing facility a good distance to the southeast of Dazra. It closed down years ago due to, I'm not even sure why. It ran out of resources, I think. There was very little talk about it around town. The only silver lining was that all of the workers were placed into other positions throughout the city, so no one went hungry. It's an old mineral processing facility a good distance to the southeast of Dazra. It closed down years ago due to, I'm not even sure why. It ran out of resources, I think. There was very little talk about it around town. The only silver lining was that all of the workers were placed into other positions throughout the city, so no one went hungry.
Did you have something to say to me? Hello. Sorry, I do not want to be rude. Most people tend to ignore me, so I'm not very good at talking. And, well, you are the one that Anasco spoke to, so... well, forgive me if I am nervous. I, work in storage. It suits me well, and I do not have to talk with anyone. Well, most of the time. The pay is good enough for me to go to, Herald's Rest after work, and that is all that really matters to me. Not good? Things are scary. I try not to think about it too much, but, well, it's not easy. There was another storage employee that I worked with, but, I have not seen him in weeks. I think, well, it's pretty obvious what happened to him. He was always nice to me. He did not deserve this. So yeah, things are scary. Even Dumar is probably scared, even though he always seems so happy. Oh, Dumar is the, ship technician, by the way.
The High Council needs access to the power grid if we hope to restore the city. Your inability to provide a legitimate excuse for denying them will only last so long.
Victoria is right. I know you're angry, but you can't let personal matters interfere with what may be best for everyone.
Personal matters? This is a Ministry of State matter, and I will handle it as I see fit. He is a traitor. He turned his back not only on his family, but on our people's entire belief system. The fact that he still breathes is a stain upon the House Vethal name.
You would doom us all with your pride.
I will do as I please as head of this house. If you are not a member of House Vethal, you do not belong here. Another High Council lackey come begging? I told Lovik no more.
Forgive my brother. He has been forgetting his manners of late. Victor, this is Anasco's chosen. You recall Lovik sent word.
I recall he spoke of a newly anointed promised. And we do not need help, especially from an outsider.
You can't continue to refuse the council. You must act. Your inaction is killing you.
Precisely, which is why he leaves me no choice but to say this. My nephew Varric has left, and until he returns, Victor refuses to assist the council.
These are hardly matters for the ears of an outsider. And who are you to tell me what is vital and what is not? You are an outsider. You have no understanding of our house. What would my son, my successor, the heir to House Vethal have to do with house politics? Even someone with basic political knowledge should realize his importance. The audacity! I should have you arrested.
Is this not the opportunity you've been looking for, brother? A third party capable of finding Varric?
Yes, you said so yourself. Someone with no loyalties to speak of. And if he's become promised, truly his arrival is more than coincidence.
Serpent, give me strength. You both speak true. Perhaps I have reacted in haste. Tell me, Vindicator, are you well practiced in discretion? I hope your word is good as well. As Vittoria mentioned, my son, Varric, has left. Essentially, he has abandoned his post. And not only did he turn his back on his house, but the great serpent as well. He is a traitor and must be dealt with as such.
Victor, surely you don't mean it.
He does, Luther. He is allowing his fervent pride and anger to cloud his judgment. What my brother is trying to say is that he wishes his own son dead. First, we lose Vashti to that malignance tearing through Dazra. And now you so willingly offer up Varric. As if our house has not suffered enough loss already.
I will not speak of her with an outsider, promised or not. Your focus is solely on Varric. My son denounced the very faith that defines Varun's society. He dared to blame Anasco for the state of Dazra. dare to call our faith in the Great Serpent blind. It is heresy and punishable by death. Because he let his weakness get the better of him. He sees himself as a prisoner in this life. He runs from a duty that others would spend their lives coveting. He is my son. He does not get to choose. He was born to inherit my title, and he knows the punishment for refusing to honor it. Of course it would. As someone from the settled systems, you have no concept of what the Great Serpent demands of us. I do not wish Vedic dead, but as head of the Ministry of State, he left me no choice. All must serve. Those who refuse will be met with death. Our duty as wardens is to keep the populace tasked and loyal. All must serve, both the Great Serpent and House Varun. No exceptions. Those who refuse must be cleansed to stop the spread of corruption. I will not have it known that I declared my own son a heretic and allowed him to escape our grasp. This knowledge weakens the Ministry of State's authority, something we cannot risk at this time. This is why my interest turned to a third party, someone outside of the noble houses, but we have yet to determine someone trustworthy enough. Until now. The shame Vedic brought upon this house is immeasurable. It stains the very foundation. I will not act until this house is in order and its members are properly aligned with the Great Serpent. Exceptions show weakness, and we cannot afford to show weakness at a time like this.
We have done the same for less. You act as if death is the only answer. What about forgiveness?
I will not risk the Ministry's authority on the actions of my own son, even if he is my chosen heir. If the High Council wants my cooperation, I need you to find Vedic and carry out his sentence.
And I would ask you to spare him. My brother is acting under impulse, not reason.
I have never been more clear. Speak against me one more time, and you will regret it. Vedic has a signet ring with House Vithal's family crest. Bring it to me as proof of death. Only then will I grant you access to the power grid. There is no other way. The Ministry of State must uphold order, and you will be expected to serve as we all do. I recommend you start by speaking to patrons of the Herald's Rest. Some of Vedic's associates there may know where he went, but keep in mind, anyone who has directly aided him in hiding is an accomplice and shares his fate. The Herald's Rest is our local bar, and unfortunately, my son's favorite establishment to frequent. And while I know a bar isn't the ideal place for discretion, I still expect you to keep these matters private. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Vedic. See to it you do. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Vedic for personal reasons. I will not risk word of his disappearance getting out before I can say the situation has been handled.
Remember, Vindicator, that I would ask you to spare my nephew. As a high-ranking member of the Ministry of State, I fully support the policies. But I also recognize these circumstances are not normal. Exceptions must be made in trying times. Varric was an obedient child, quiet, always absorbed in his studies to please his father. But the two have clashed ever since Varric sacrificed his growth. He found his voice that day, and to Victor's dismay, he wanted no part of being elder. All Varun children raise a growth, and when they come of age, they sacrifice it. It is our way of solidifying our connection with the Great Serpent. All must serve. and our dedication to him comes above all else. Victor was too lenient with him when it came to Varric's free time. As strict as he was, he allowed him the freedom to associate with whomever he wanted. I think too much time at the Herald Rest showed Varric a different life is possible, when it's not. Not for him. Victor's pride and belief in tradition will not allow it. He sees Varric's refusal to inherit the role of Elder as an insult, and many would share that view. Varric is conflict-averse. Pressure, responsibility, stress, he avoids them like the plague. He wants everyone's approval, and as Elder, that is an impossible task. I believe it is why he has fled. He made his final stand against his father, and rather than face the disapproval, he disappears. What would you like to know? Victor is letting his emotions get the better of him. He was barely processing the shock and grief from losing Vashti. Then came the anger and betrayal from Varric. My brother is a man of pride and great faith. For the first time, I think he does not know what to do. But I am certain Victor does not wish Varric dead. Is it not obvious? He has given you the perfect out, the ring. Yes, Varric would be loath to part with it. It belonged to his sister and is all he has left. But to save his life? To save her brother? Vashti would give him her blessing to hand it over if you asked. This is why I ask you to spare him. As head of the Ministry of State, Victor feels he has no choice. He believes he is trapped by his own faith and duty. If he makes an exception for his son, and the truth comes out, people will see it as weakness. They will question the Ministry of State's authority, which means they are questioning him. Something his pride would never risk. On the other hand, going through with it, announcing it to the public, that solidifies the Ministry of State as a force to be both feared and revered. And I pray I have answers for you. Vashti was my niece. Victor's daughter. Varric's sister. We lost her to the devastation that took half of our great city. Victor will barely speak of her. I think he cannot reconcile the loss with his faith.
So many lives lost.
Get it done.
This family can't afford another. Whatever happened to Dazra, our home was taken along with it. Victor felt the keep was the most logical place to stay until more long-term plans were able to be made. The Ministry of State oversees military and security, so we already have established offices here. Vashti was Victor's daughter. We lost her in the accident. She and Varric were very close. She was his anchor and voice of reason. I truly believe if she was still with us, Varric would be too. Varric is a dreamer who let his fascination with the settled systems get the best of him. You could always tell his heart wasn't into learning about Varun society, noble houses, ministries, Dazra. He was a devout student, but none of it interested him. The only lessons that truly fascinated him were about space and exploration. Our house was taken during the incident. Our losses are great. Vashti being foremost in our minds. Excuse me. I'd rather not speak about it. You don't know Victor Vathal. He may be the most stubborn man in Dazra next to Anasko Varun himself, but that doesn't mean we won't try. He adores Varric, and if he died without reconciling their differences, I think it would break him. He never got to say goodbye to Vashti. And he hasn't taken it well.
This bar is the only thing keeping many people sane. Varric? Depends on who's looking for him. And Fi, of course. Sounds like you're here on official business, then. Truth is, I haven't seen him for a few days myself. But if you find him, tell him he better come check on his tab. I know he's good for it, but since he gave Eggy permission to use it, it's sky high. I'm sorry, but when it comes to house business, I stay as far away as possible. Varric always was one to act on impulse. It always helps when you have a personal connection. Well, let me think. Well, if it's important... Varric was always good at giving advice. All right, fine. I don't know where he is, but there's a man, Dane Salavea. He might know. That one's easy. Dane's a bit of a regular ever since Dasra went to hell. Just wait around a bit, and he's bound to wander in.
Another day in Dasra. Hey, aren't you that outsider made promise that showed up here recently? Impressive. Since these people really aren't into strangers, especially in times like these. I'm an outsider myself. It's hard to get into the whole giant snake thing. I guess when you're part of the supply chain, they make a few exceptions. There's not a lot of people in the import-export business when it comes to Dasra, and they aim to keep it that way. But believe me, it wasn't any short amount of time before they let me roam these streets. You could say I'm like a specialized delivery service, moving stuff back and forth between Dasra and the settled systems. Just so happens I got a lot of time on my hands since Dasra went to hell and I lost my ship. And let me tell you, I thought things were grim before. Whatever that incident was, this whole planet's gonna need therapy. Tell me about it. I've been toting stuff back and forth for these people for years and still get the cold shoulder most places I go. But then these people lose half their city and you show up, and suddenly it's divine intervention. Hey, you play your cards here right, you win them over. You've already been dealt a winning hand as it is. Anyway, enough about that. What can I do you for? I know the name, sure, everybody here does. But the man? Not much. Someone like me doesn't exactly hang out with house bigwigs. That's so. Well, I guess that depends, Vindicator. Who wants to know? Well, in that case, I can't help you. Although, let's just say after what went down here, my retirement's looking imminent, and I haven't exactly been saving up for a rainy day. So if you're feeling generous, maybe we can help each other out. Nice to see we operate on the same wavelength. I'm pretty sure he's heading into the Highlands. Just not sure where. But I do have the means to track him. So you just say the word and we're off to the races. Highlands region is the northwest side of Dasra. Pretty good area if you don't want to be easily found. You make it sound creepy. But yeah, for emergencies. Yep, when it comes to my stuff, it's like a package deal. I'm not just gonna hand off valuable tech to some stranger. After you. Once we're outside of Dasra, I'll fire up my tracker, and fingers crossed, it'll lead us right to him. Just head out the west gate, should be the fastest route. All my years and all the planets I've been on. Never gonna get used to those things. Sure looks like it. Damn House Varun. Wiping out half their city and bringing in horrors like these. At least I don't see a body around here, so I hope that means Varric's alive. You find anything? Damn. Hate to think he had to take on those things by himself. Well, what's next? Varric must have fled in a hurry since his tracker's still here. So guess the rest is up to us. You got it. If he's bleeding, there's bound to be something. Let's head back down and see what we can find. And by we, I mean you.
That's far enough, strangers. You want to tell me what you're doing on my property uninvited? Through here. You realize you're in the middle of nowhere. Of course, fellow promised. Please forgive my abruptness.
Yeah, you here obligated? You know it must be house business.
Indeed, brother. All must serve.
Irina, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Zen, yes, I know quite well. Never mind my partner, they're just overly cautious. But we did aid an injured young man a few days ago.
That's gotta be Varric.
It's too coincidental. It must have been him. We didn't know and didn't ask. We introduced ourselves, and he quickly changed the subject. But he was polite, and something about him reminded me of our own son, so I didn't feel the need to push him. Casimir Mazur. He left a while back to find work in Dasra. He didn't want the life of a farmer. We haven't heard from him since the incident. He had a pretty bad injury, but we were able to patch him up. He didn't want to stick around, though. Once he felt better, we sent him north. There's a long-abandoned growth farm we felt he could make use of. He claimed he lost everything in the incident that swallowed half of Dasra. He wanted to start a new life. We even gave him 2 of our own growths to get started. You're welcome, and safe travels. If you find him, give him our regards.
Nothing going on out here. How about you? Find anything? Sounds like it's a waiting game then.
It seems I have uninvited guests. You want to explain yourselves?
Whoa, hey, it's me. Dang. Put the gun down already.
It's not you I'm concerned about. It's your friends.
Hey, don't look at me. I'm not the one in charge here.
I wish I could say I was pleased to meet you, but something tells me this isn't a social call. Please, if you're here on my father's orders, allow me to plead my case. I'm glad someone does for once. I am not sure how familiar you are with our culture, but all I've ever wanted was the right to choose. I was born House Vithal. I was raised to inherit the role of Elder, to run the Ministry of State, to worship the Great Serpent. But I want none of it.
With House Vithal? Easier said than done.
I know what it's like to have a legacy haunt you, but I can't compete with that.
It's never mattered how much I tried to reason with him. My father simply would not let me go. His pride and the fear of what it would mean for House Vithal is all he cares about. Shame, embarrassment, fuel for the other houses to ridicule my father. I don't want any of that for him, but he left me no choice. If he would have listened just once, maybe I could have left on good terms with my father's blessing. Control the narrative, as they like to say. That's the issue. As far as my father's concerned, he's the most supportive parent out there, giving me all the tools and teachings I need to inherit House Vital and assume the reins of the Ministry of State. I'm the ungrateful one. I'm the problem. Not him. All I want is to make my own life. Something Tane understood and was willing to help me with.
The credits help too. But yeah, guess you got the whole scoop now. Yup, we had a few things to discuss. I lost my ship to the incident, so I didn't want Varric running off thinking I could just grab him and go. I was also out all the credits he was gonna pay me. That's where you came in. I figured, why not 2 for the price of 1? I didn't realize it was gonna turn into a whole thing.
So, now you know my true intentions for leaving, and given the circumstances, I may be here for some time. My hope now is to make the best of it here. I suppose I owe you that much. The truth is, the Scaled Citadel was the last straw. My people are so blinded by faith and politics, they don't see how it's destroying us. Anasko Varun eliminated half our population in the blink of an eye. My sister Vashti among them. I could no longer live in a society that won't put its people first. That would destroy itself in the name of a god that has done nothing for us. I understand that some people need faith as guidance, but Varun society takes it too far. I hope you can see why I want to walk away from all this. To start my own life. I ask that you give me that chance. Anything. Name it. My ring. Vashti gave it to me. It's all I have left of her since the cataclysm. The disaster took every physical reminder of her except for this ring. Just wiped her from existence. True. It's as if she's looking out for me. One last time. Take it. I'll find solace in the fact that the ring will remain with my family. And now I hope we are done here. Thank you for seeing reason. I owe you both my life and freedom.
Now that's over with. I'm gonna hang back here, talk to Varric a bit. Besides, I don't want to be around when you break the news to Victor. Do me a favor and find me at the Herald's Rest when you're done.
Thank you for honoring my freedom. Vashti knew my heart and mind well. She would understand. I have no doubt. Our father is what would bother her the most. She would have made a far better elder than I. If only he would have listened. But the man refuses to see anyone's truth but his own. I was on my way to see my father at the Halls of Obedience when it happened. I had just crossed Jinan Plaza when I saw the light pulse from the Citadel, and the sound felt like it went right through me. I couldn't help but fixate on the Citadel itself, surrounded by that strange energy. It didn't even dawn on me until later, just how heavy the losses would be. For now, My father won't risk additional resources to confirm my death. That would only reflect poorly on him. Besides, this is just a stepping stone. My ultimate goal is to leave Varunkai behind. This farm will allow me to prove to myself that I can make it out there.